you know, you've been through long meetings too, but like a day like this where you're like, back to back long meetings.
Yeah.
I just,
Yes, it's been there 100 years. Yeah.
There you go.
there you go.
So we have
Just
Rob
so
by
you-
Zoom, so I did
Earned my
tell him I
vacation.
have questions.
I have earned my vacation.
Yeah,
my boss
so what
said.
are you taking off?
In December?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, what time is it?
Hawaii.
That's awesome. Good for you.
I've never been.
I never know. I've
Yeah.
never been, and my,
So we have Barbara Warnell
my
in
younger
there.
brother was saying the other day, that,
Okay.
like, Hawaii's the one place.
And Frank.
You can't have anything, just like,
Frankie's bored and all, she just got nothing else to
he
do.
loves it.
Yeah,
Okay.
my brother's going through a great.
Okay, we're all here now, so I think we can get started,
Cool.
except Ella Ray.
It randomly happened.
So, what?
Did you say you're waiting on Ellen Lorraine?
I said we're all here except Ellen Lorraine. I don't think we need, oh, she's not coming. Okay, great. All right, so it is 6 o'clock on October the 4th, and we're here for a public hearing to discuss for discussion and possible action regarding an ordinance to amend Article 5, Dimensional Regulations, and Article 6, Historic Preservation Architectural Review Commission of Chapter 197, zoning of the Municipal Code of the City of Lewis, Delaware by amending Section 19754, fences, walls, hedges, and shrubbery, Section 19758, Historic District Properties Review and Section, and 197-59, Historic District or Properties Criteria Standards. This is a result of to look at our present code calls for fences, front yard fences to be no more than 3 feet. However, we have several fences in town that are over 3 feet. And I think we've had, the building officials have had an application to replace a fence, and the present ordinance does not allow them to authorize the replacement of the fence under the present code. So we're here to consider the possibility of amending that. So we are here to hear from the public. Mr. Vincent and Joyce are here. And if one of you would like to speak, we would like to hear from you.
I came to speak because I precipitated this. Robin and I have had a lot of spirited conversation on this.
If I can just get your name for the record,
Right.
please?
Larry Vincent,
Thank you.
Okay, and your address too.
229 Second Street.
And speak into the mic.
Yes, I will. Thank you. At any rate, I have a historic home downtown, and I've sweated bullets to, make it nice and keep it from falling on its side and blah, blah, blah. And so I went to get, I was on the Commercial Architectural Review Commission, so I happened to have a copy of the historic regulations, and I looked there and it says, fences replaced in kind do not need permission. Mm-hmm. Okay, this would tell any person with a half a brain that that means I don't have to go for permission. Yet, when we went to pull a permit, we were told by Robin that I couldn't have the fence because the existing fence is 46 inches and the city code requires 36 inches. To which I replied, the fences probably should be tailored to the period of the home, the architecture of the home, blah, 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 And the 36-inch thing is kind of a suburban situation, which I understand. And he was very nice. He kept saying, you're absolutely correct, but that's not the law. What it means is it reverts to us in city code. I did not see it that way. I saw it that it's historic district code. And I'm come from a background where that's a little more superseding than city code. Anyway, that's what happened. So and I lost my contractor, of course, because he had to go get a job. He couldn't waste the time for this situation. But I think, God forbid, we should have a weather event. Mm-hmm. And we would lose maybe 50, 60, 70, 100 fences downtown. Every new fence put in has to be 36 inches tall. That makes no common sense whatsoever. Mm-hmm. None. Okay. And I mean, I know you've done this, I've done this. If you take a cursory look around town, there are a lot of exceptions to this, and it would look silly if we all had 36-inch fences. So that's what started all this, and I appreciate you considering this. It's very important to a lot of this.
Okay, thank you very much, Larry.
Sure.
And council has been provided some images of other fences that are existing in town that are well over 36 inches. Some of them are, depending on where you measure them, as much as 48 inches high.
That's an issue too. What grade means
Right.
is an issue.
Right.
Because
If you're just gonna speak, I just need you at the mic, please.
there's an ancillary issue, which is what grade means.
Right.
On Second Street, our grade was dropped 6 to 8 inches down at my end. So do I use old grade or new grade when I'm calculating the height of the fence? That was also silly.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that, but it didn't hit me.
Well, it was the result of the rehabilitation of Second Street.
Yeah, exactly. And is that my fault? You know, I don't know. And then I gave some
We can blame
examples
you.
like you did of photographs of other places where, you know, if you put in a brick wall like this and
Right.
in 36 inches, what was grade?
Right.
On Mulberry Street, there's one of those, which is like 46 inches, which is exactly what mine is. And I said, how come that one's okay? So, okay, excuse me.
Okay, no, thank you very much. And you're absolutely right about the renovation of Second Street, because I think all the houses on your side of the street gained a step or at least 8 inches, and it graduated as it went back up towards Market Street. So, thank you very much.
Sure.
Appreciate it. Do we have anybody in the chat? I know Robin's on as well.
Robin's on, I asked him to be here in case there were any questions.
Okay.
I don't know, do you have any
No.
questions for Robin?
I,
I had a question just around why, what's the logic of, to Mr. Vincent's point, what is the 3 feet, where does that come from? And then the other was, if we're at 4 feet, the example provided to me shows 49 inches, which, you know, I think my math is right, it would still be an inch under what we'd be proposing, so again, what's the point?
And I think it gets to his point of grade, because the fence itself is 41, but if you, by the time you take into consideration the
Elevation.
slab, that little wall that was put in, you pick up that extra 8 inches.
But to his logic, why can't we just
there's
use
another
more
piece.
common sense instead of say just replacing like in kind, or if it needs to go before H Park, then have that, and, you know.
So there is language in the proposed ordinance that also, so there's 2 things that the ordinance does. It changes the fence height in the front yard from 3 feet to 4 feet. But the other thing that it does is within the historic district, it allows for H Park to grant exceptions to that when it's in keeping with the guidelines. So
Okay.
it would allow,
So that hits his first point, which is if it's with the period of the home and things like
Right,
that, you
yes.
could have.
exactly.
Okay. But what's, okay.
Okay, I'm not exactly sure where 3 feet came from. Typically, zoning ordinances require that fences are shorter in the front yard
Right.
for a number of reasons. One is the character of, you know, not being behind a fortress, but then there's also a lot of times some visibility issues, especially as you're on a corner. So this would, you know, allow you to go higher than that 3 feet, but it also has language that if you're on a corner, what does it say, Janelle? Or maybe it says in the front yard, it would need to be see-through, so it's not,
Yes.
Right.
it's not a,
Yeah, the entire
solid
fence may be solid except within the required front yard, so you can see through it, so we don't have those visibility issues.
So a picket fence or something like that would be perfectly
Correct.
allowable.
And
Okay.
I have a question I'd like to ask. If I hold up this image, can you see which one I'm talking about? It's the one where the,
Front of the Verdon House.
Okay.
right, okay. And the measurement, there are 2 measurements offered, one 41 foot and one at 49. Is the 49-foot measurement to the top of this post?
I do not
No.
know. I would guess,
No, it's not.
but I honestly, I
It's on
don't
the top of the
know.
rail.
To the top rail, okay.
The rest of it's.
And
back
again, as proposed, if it's within the historic district, H Park would have the discretion to allow a fence to exceed the 4-foot height limit.
And in your
Right, and-
opinion, is this something that could be done at a chair and staff level?
I understand.
I would
And that's
think
where I'm gonna go
most
with the next
fences
question.
could be done at chair and staff, and I think Robin could verify that for me, but I'm gonna say most likely yes. Typically, fences are not something that goes before the whole,
Yeah, because again, to Mr. Vincent's point, a lot of time is money, and time, you know, you want to get your projects done, so if we're making people go H Park before a fence when it can be done
it
still
just
with their
allows
endpoint,
them
but
the
with
guidance, so I'm gonna guess
Yeah.
with chair and staff, they're still part of H
Sure,
Park to
yeah.
allow for that guidance to that discretion.
So I think Robin's ready to
Yep,
answer that.
sorry.
Robin?
Yeah, that is correct. That is correct. Chair and staff fences are usually covered under chair and staff reviews.
Okay, thank you,
Is
Robin.
that true, and there has been no pre-existing fence as well, Robin? Or is it only true when you're doing replacement, or replacing an existing fence?
The way the ordinance is written, it says, if similar projects, so if we have other projects on other properties that have been approved,
Okay.
then they would make that eligible for chair and staff.
Okay, fine, thank you. Thank you for taking time to be here this evening.
Yes, sir.
Okay, are there any other questions from the table or comments from the table?
I actually do have one more question. Robin, this might be one for you to answer, but I'll throw it out there. Again, referring to the photo of the Verdon house with the 8-inch grade difference between the sidewalk level, the street sidewalk, and the grade where the fence post is actually in the ground. Does that make sense? So you have like 1.5 steps up to the fence, to the gate on the fence.
I don't have the
He doesn't have the photos.
pictures in front of me, so, normally grade, it can be either the exterior or interior grade.
I think we should,
So-
I think we should clarify that if we could,
I think that would be helpful.
because that leaves a lot of ambiguity. In this case, the fence would
Yes.
meet, this fence would, if measured from the interior grade, the fence would be well within a 4-foot height. But if you measure it from the height of the street, it's going to be over it.
Right.
Right, yeah, that's
McPhee
a little bit of an issue because of the difference.
Right, and where I was gonna go with my question was,
Right.
is this the
Yeah,
most
you are.
egregious example of that grade difference? Or is this just kind of typical of what you would find in the historic district? Where you have a
Normally,
grade?
normally you're basically the same. There are certain areas where the interior grade and exterior grade is different, but overall, they're kind of somewhat all about the same.
Yeah, it's relatively a flat community, but Andrew was just pointing
Yeah.
out that in his neighborhood on McPhee Street,
Yep,
he's up on a bit of a bluff.
Yeah,
So he would be able, if you measured it from an interior, from the street level, he'd have like a 6 or 7 foot fence.
yep,
yeah, because it's the same one about the house that's on the corner of McPhee and Savannah Road, same way.
Exactly.
right,
Right,
right.
exactly.
Yeah,
So I do think that would be helpful to get that measurement
clarified.
clarified.
Where
You
it's
know,
where
how
you're-
it's established,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I had not heard that term before, interior and exterior, before. That's new for me. I've learned something today.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from the table? Comments? Okay. So Janelle, I think if we could clarify, and Robin, if we could clarify the interior, where the measurement's actually going to be taken from, and modify this draft ordinance accordingly.
We will need to make sure it's in one of the sections of code that's already been proposed. If not, we can bring something else back.
Okay,
and
great.
amend that, because I'm not sure if that's actually in this section, these sections of code.
Okay, well, whatever we need to do
We
to
will
clarify
address
that.
that.
Yeah. I don't think you want to measure from the crown of the road
No.
for a fence, but obviously we do that for building heights, but I think in this case, we need to measure from a fixed place.
Are you still awaiting this approval to get going on your project then?
Oh, it's been months, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I'm not understanding particular.
Yes,
Yeah.
please come back up. We're going to keep you here, Larry.
I don't understand particularly some of the substance of this. If the historic district regulations supersede city building code, why should I have to do this at all? If it says in the city, if it says in the architectural review, historic district stuff, replacement in kind is okay, why am I doing this?
Right.
This was my question to Robin. He was very gracious. I mean, we had words over this. And again, if there's a climate event and we lose 40, 50, 100 fences in town, every fence in town is going to be 3 feet?
Well, we're going to fix it.
I mean, come on.
I think we're going to fix it for you.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't
I'm sorry
know.
it's taken this
Oh,
long.
no, I'm not unused to city rhythms.
I think you've dealt with historic districts in
I've
another
dealt with
city,
these
if I'm
things-
not
dealt with these
correct.
things before. But I do think
As
that
it
it
were.
makes no sense in that, and we really do appreciate you all, paying some attention to this. You too, Robin.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay.
All right, so if there are no further questions from the table, and we have no other input from anyone on the call, is that correct, Anne Marie?
That is what it looks like.
I think we can close this hearing, and we will plan to take this up at our meeting on Monday of next week, the 11th. So hopefully we can get this closed up for you and addressed. Okay? So thank you both for taking time to be here this evening.
Yeah.
I think we could entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
Amen.
moved.
Okay? Second? Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Thank you all for being here this evening. It's been a long evening
You're here.
before we got here.
Thank you.
Yeah.